harnessing the power of AI for the digital video era. I'll be moderating. My name is Victoria Davis. I'm the managing partner at DS Partners, which is a consultancy in the media, sports and entertainment industry where we help you to develop your growth and transformation strategies. I'd like to welcome our fantastic panellists up to the stage, please. So first of all, Stefan Pollinger, who is the Innovation Officer for ORF, which is the Austrian Public Service Broadcaster. Jackie Barnum, Strategic Partnerships Development Manager for Android TV EMEA at Google. Keith Galois, who is the Chief Revenue Officer at Media Press Group. And Alexa Radonic, who is the Product Manager at United Cloud. Okay, so before we jump into the topic, I think it would be really helpful if you very briefly could just tell us about your role exactly in your organisation and how that relates to AI. So, please.
Yeah, thank you. I work for Media Press Group. I think probably most of you do not know the company, but in fact, Media Press is the largest company providing metadata for, I would say, the larger operators across Europe, broadcasters and studios. I basically am responsible for driving revenues, but also driving the innovation. Having worked before at Pearson, so I've seen also the competition. Hopefully we'll have an interesting debate about, I would say, metadata, which was also yesterday the elephant in the room, more or less. So happy to have that discussion today.
Hi, I'm Jackie. I manage our partnerships with our TV operators in a few markets within Europe, so France, Benelux, Spain, Portugal, and Africa. And we work essentially with our partners to help them launch their products on our Android TV OS and grow the success of their platform there. And we also, in relation to AI, work cross-functionally with all the other Google services so we can help pay TV operators innovate on their platform by integrating with our services, with voice assistant and AI technology, smart home integrations, to really leverage everything we can bring to help operators differentiate their service.
I'm Stefan Pollinger, Innovation Officer at ORF in Austria. In my position, I'm leading innovation management at the company, and in this regard also our AI initiative, which we call AI Day in the company. Also an initiative that is called Smart Producing, which is a lot about new content initiatives in regard of digital platforms, cost efficiency in traditional production, and getting more content out of traditional production on digital platforms and services.
Yeah, and hello, I'm Alex. I don't know if anyone here yesterday we talked about what United Group is. Briefly, I work as a product manager on new entertainment services on the OTT app that we launched in the 8 markets that we cover, and we're proud clients / partners of both this company, Media Press Group, for more than 5 years. We were using their metadata ingestion and EPG for more than 5 years, and even more proudly maybe a bit about Android TV, because we were the 8th platform ever to launch on Android TV in 2018. We were exploring that since 2016 with a Watson launcher, etc. And we are expanding that partnership even further, especially now regarding everything that we are exploring in AI on our own, but also in partnering with Google and their ecosystem, what we related with their I/O that happened relatively recently, and that everyone started talking about Jackie about those things. So yeah, so Stefan, hopefully we're gonna work together as well, so we can go, not in the markets in the news still, but yeah, that's it from my side.
Let's see what that.
Yeah. Fantastic, great. We've already had some partnerships developed on the panel. So AI obviously being a relatively, let's say, new thing in the domain of TV and media industry, the question is, I guess, how ready is the industry to embrace and move forward with these capabilities? Stefan, what's your view on that?
The industry as a whole, I believe there's some type of maturity there because AI is not completely new to the industry. In regards of machine learning, I believe most of the companies have at least some experience, at least, for example, in their archive departments, where a lot is about data mining, for example. So this is not a completely new area, which was for everybody new is of course this era of generative AI, which we have seen especially with OpenAI and ChatGPT 2 years ago, something like that. So in this regard, I believe I've never seen this in my professional life, to be honest, because the great thing regarding AI in media companies, and I believe in pretty much every sector, is it brings people together. So it's a very technology-driven topic, but all departments, regardless if it's a program or content department, maybe commercial or finance, technology, of course, everybody has high interest in this topic and in using or trying out or piloting with these technologies ideas. And this is where the chances are in for us as a company, because we can use our people and leverage the ideas of our people to our advantage to generate USPs for the company in the market. So I believe there is a way bigger readiness in the company that maybe some believe, because of this high interest.
Mm-hmm. And maybe a good question for Alex. Do you see, since ChatGPT was around 1.5 years ago now, since it came on the public radar, have you seen a different readiness within the organisation to really talk about, embrace AI and be open-minded to understanding what it is? Has that been a game changer?
Yeah, so it depends on the segment of the company, to be totally honest. So if you ask like compliance, finance, and legal, they'll be like, yeah, it was the most chaotic period for them not to use it because of everything that is under the NDAs, etc., etc. On the other side, like especially in our innovation center, yeah, it was super welcome. And people started playing out with it. We had some initiatives internally in order to nurture that even further. But also, like, we obviously need to be cautious, especially because, like, what you mentioned, how the industry is ready. Like, we are in a particular market. We're in Southeastern Europe, and the thing is, there, like, still, like, when we launched addressable advertising a couple of years ago, we had a huge pushback from the industry and from the regulators because that was too advanced for them. So those are things that we are now exploring. So a bit less on the generative AI part, but a bit more on automation, because there we see basically the freeway that we can do whatever we want. But on the other side, yeah, that's something that obviously, especially because like 5 of those 8 countries are in the European Union, and all the regulations that will like recently launched regarding AI were something that we need to abide by. But on the other side, 3 of the others are in the process of being the parts of the EU members, meaning that they like still have the open book, but their regulations are even more cautious because they are afraid like if we can do something that is gonna win that path over the EU. So it's a bit of a tricky situation, but on the other side, like obviously internally we're exploring with everything, like in how our daily works and like in the Bureau project, but that's like a brief overview.
Very interesting about the regulation, as can often happen, being a bit of a blocker in actually moving fast as forward as would be possible.
Yeah.
And Jackie, from your perspective in Google, obviously there's a huge amount of AI work that's done within Google, so I guess you feel that it's part of the DNA.
Yeah.
But how are you embracing that for the kind of TV and media angle of your business?
Yeah, so I think, just basically in general, we're definitely seeing a lot of leaning on regards to, content recommendations, but also customer support, so a lot of innovation going on there, network optimization, and also targeted advertising. So we're definitely seeing a lot of usage, and our account team is very busy doing deals in those various areas. But with regards to the Android TV platform, I guess some of our operators would agree with us that it's nothing new with regards to utilising AI and NLU to better improve the product, because we have Google Assistant, which is built into Android TV devices currently, and we have a cloud-to-cloud integration with operators. So that allows us to enable use cases like people asking, can you show me these movies from this particular actor? And we would send those content requests to the cloud of the operator, and they can determine what results to send back. So, I guess that's the kind of the starting point, and then we're building up from that. And then with regards to how we're leading within Google, we have an AI called Recommendations for Media AI, which is essentially targeted to that specific use case. So how can we deliver the next frontier of media consumption, media engagement? It's very seamless to integrate. It doesn't require any AI resources from the operator side, and it really leads into being able to identify exactly what the user's doing, right down to their mood at that time, or what are they watching at that moment in time, to give real-time targeted feedback and targeted content specific to that user's needs.
Fantastic. Keith, how does your part of the business and the capabilities that you can build with your partners, how does that fit into that picture?
Yeah, so basically to answer your first question, how do you break AI down into different pieces? I see perceptual AI, cognitive AI, that's recommendation, personalization stuff. That's what we see. That was we're basically discussing this already today. But it's in fact the reality is it's quite broken. If you look at it from, let's say, how the value chain or the media supply chain could work together as an industry. And the reality today is that how using machine learning and AI comes down to being able to track your content across those different pieces of the value chain. And how can you enable simplification and automation? I think that's the main goal. And I think with having 30 years of experience, we have, let's say, most of those content IDs in our database, and we can support the industry. And I think what we heard on the previous panel and also yesterday is there are a lot of challenges for business needs that are not on the personalization, but are really on the business AI part. And business AI part is the part where you can track a content ID across the value chain, and as a result you can automate in less constructive way. Whether you're a studio, whether you're a broadcaster or an operator, or let's discuss the other elephant in the room, which is measurement. You cannot do measurement properly without having a connection between the content ID which started at a studio or at the broadcaster or from an operator or even smart TV platform. And so that, I think that is the discussion needed. Yes, metadata is still important, having schedules, having those catalogs is still important, but you need a partner that understands how you can tie those different pieces together, and that's what we stand for.
So I think that brings up a really interesting question of how within an organisation do you educate the organisation to be able to harness the power of AI, because there needs to be an understanding of that in order to move forward with, I guess, building out that across the full value chain.
Yes, that requires a complete transition, in fact, because you need, as you said, you need the finance people involved, you need the legal people involved, you have, of course, you have the product development team involved, and everyone has their own piece where they can bring in their use cases to the content identifier. If you do not do that process well, you get solutions, of course. You get solutions that work with a lot of hidden costs because you have to tie all those different pieces together because you didn't solve it from day one, which is having consistency across the chain.
So then, Stefan, from your perspective, you're in charge of innovation. How do you make that within your organisation really happen? Where have you got examples of how you've started to kind of integrate the usage of AI or change the culture within the company to embrace AI?
Definitely yes, and I'm confident that we're doing a pretty good job, to be honest. Yeah. So it's a good story. We wanted to start say. We felt in the company that interest is building up in areas where we didn't expect it, to be honest. So we created a workshop, and somehow after a few days, 100 plus people wanted to be part of this workshop. So 100 plus people is not a workshop anymore. So we created an event inside of the company, which we called back then AI Day. So that's where the name comes from. And suddenly we had 100 plus attendees on site, had a few hundreds attendees in the live stream, and had huge demands also afterwards, because we provided the videos also on demand inside of the company. And we invited companies to this event, service providers, local companies, hyperscalers, so everybody was open also to attend and deliver value. I was always saying it's not the same speed, so we invite you to talk to us, to connect to us, to build a network inside the company, also in regards with, for example, service providers. And this worked out pretty good. So we had multiple events like this 1.5 years later. We also did this with top management and pretty much all stakeholders there are. And it's an open space forum, so to say, where people can exchange ideas, present their ideas for the keynote, stuff like that. And this is working extremely good in regards of AI literacy. Because interest is high. We provide via these events value to the whole company, and you can really see how thankful people are actually for these things. It's work, and it's heavy lifting to organize all of this stuff, but it's one of the perfect ways to provide value to new companies, so to say. We also use these companies, these events to launch pilot projects, because the communication is always a hard thing to do in such big companies as we are, and we use these events to communicate our pilot projects. For example, we have launched one project that we call AI Editor, Artificial Editor, which is maybe not the best name in a journalistic company, but it was pretty good in marketing terms, so everybody wanted to know what is it. And we launched it last year in June, and every employee of ORF can use it. Which is also not normal, to be honest, that the technical pilot can be used by everybody. And the feedback is amazing. So and all the use cases that we are building up with the editor are coming from the people. So and it's amazing to see how ideas spread inside of the company. We are pretty good in delivering fast results. So if there is an idea, a few days later, a few weeks later, we provide this service via this interface, or via this product. Meanwhile, it's a product. And this works extremely good, because we have also seen that, especially in the space of ideation, in a topic like AI, workshops don't work, because nobody can. It's an experience. So as soon as you can try something out, whatever it is, the ideas start to flow. If you just talk about it, nothing is happening actually, and nobody knows the future. It's hard for the people to put into words what you want to do.
And that's also really what AI is about. That's the learning loop. And that's not just with automation, that's also with people. So in building that culture, I think is really important. But again, you need consistency across those different learning loops. Otherwise, you get a lot of data, big data.
No, of course, there's ways. That's why we also have a strategic process, of course. So where we strategic positioning of the company, also in regards of the market, but also in the sense of the strategy, the goal of the strategy is also to enable the company.
What I see happening is that at least with most of the clients that we work with, they very much at it from their own lens, which is good, because that's what you're doing. And I think that the learning for most of the people in the industry is take a different view. Look at the holistic approach. What does it mean for, let's say, your suppliers? What does it mean for your distribution partners, or even for your business models? How would, let's say, AI and business AI in that specific need, how could it support you in the best possible way?
Yeah, which I guess is about the people in the organisation having this understanding. If they have the grasp, they are then able to do this. And Alexa, I think that you also had a very interesting hackathon concept that you rolled out at United.
Yeah, because like obviously, yeah, sure, thanks. United Plus, we are like around 350 people, and out of that, around 275 developers. So basically, we are fully like developer oriented. What was interesting that like before we had the hackathon concept, we had, because like we organized with a lot of universities, a lot of like internal hackathons, and it was interesting. I took part in Sarajevo in Bosnia and a hackathon that like out of 12 teams, 12 were using ChatGPT for programming, and it was ridiculous what they achieved to build in that 24-hour frames, you know. And after that, what we see, we were like, okay, like, do we have any kind of interaction? Because like in the product teams, where we work a lot with innovation and like with our chief architects, we do use AI a lot. But like our developers are definitely siloed a bit, especially because after COVID, a lot of them are like working either remotely or from home, etc. So we wanted to anticipate, do we have any kind of interest, like what you mentioned? And when we did organize it, what was interesting, because like AI brings a different perspective. So basically when you organize a hackathon, mostly we have a well-established problem that then we want really interesting ways how to resolve them. But here we wanted to like place it like an open book. So we literally said like, you know our product, you know our both like backend systems, our front end, play around, do whatever you want. We had like more than 25 teams that applied, and we had ridiculous ideas, like something that like it really what he said, like it really puts us out of our comfort zone, especially for the people who were like then judging who's gonna be the winner, etc. The whole idea was that like there were so many ideas that then we thought about like our stack and everything we built, is it future-proof for the world of AI? And this is something that we strongly started working on in our new strategy for the next 5 years that starts next year. Definitely has that as a first pillar, because like we need to rethink ways how we take data in, how we then use that data, but also how we can measure things that we never thought we were going to measure. So like large action models, which is a huge thing, what we are trying to build upon is, apart from like generating things, understanding what are the things that we can actually automate even further, like with the Google Assistant on one way of like your interaction, but on the other side, doing the comprehensive dull things that people do while watching either entertainment or playing a game or whatever, that you can optimize with like frictionless experience of like one prompt and you get the whole thing. You don't need to like go in a certain particular part in order to do something, etc. So this is something that we're exploring, and we saw that basically we need to rethink our architecture on that, especially if we're going also what is mentioning here, the whole about like super aggregation, etc. So like if we're gonna aggregate that such huge content, we definitely recommendation is the one thing, but also automating all those things, because like it's impossible for a user to find everything they want to find in that new era, and we need to like be there in order to align the process.
So then, Jackie, for you, I guess this is where AI plays a huge role in what you can offer to your partners and essentially the customer, the user, because it's about the discoverability, that what you can also learn about that user so that you can do super tailored services. Do you have any use cases or examples in real life what has been achieved until now?
So with this recommendations for media AI we were talking about earlier, it was implemented by startups in the US, for example, and they saw a 40% uplift in engagement as a result. And similarly, Newsweek integrated it and they saw 10% uplift in subscriptions, 10% uplift in revenue per view from users. So it definitely shows that when you can bring the right content to the right user, you're going to get that type of interaction and monetization uplift as well, which is key to most businesses. So yeah, there are definitely some examples. But I guess when you were talking about the use cases, that's definitely something we consult partners on. Is what are the use cases? But we definitely know that's the partner's business. They understand their business, they understand their customers. And where we can come in is deliver the platforms, the tools, the AI tools for them to actually bring that to life, if you like. So, with Gemini's suite of AI tools, they can pick and choose what they want to work with. There's the Vertex AI, which is a platform basically where you can build your whole end-to-end ML workflow, all the way from prepping your data, putting it onto the platform, training your AI, and then deploying and then monitoring that AI. So I think that's, and then within that there's some models that are already available. So I know you were talking earlier about, you're kind of coming up with your own models, which is what a lot of partners are doing, but you can cross-mix those. So we have some models already available for things like image recognition or translations, which are just off the shelf that you can then implement. So you're doing that work for you, so that you're removing that need for sort of AI support within the company, and it's just there and scalable for you to integrate into your platform.
Yeah, that's to be honest, that's where I disagree a little bit. In reality, or how I look at it, or at least what I see happening, is that it doesn't make sense to do that at the end. It's way more, it makes much more sense to do that at the beginning of the supply chain. That's basically, when you do that at the studio level, you can already pre-process all the data. You can already do everything with regards to machine learning and AI, and deliver that to your distribution partners. So we learned yesterday from Tom, for example. Of course, direct-to-consumer propositions brought the industry a global market, but also global competition. So you have to really think about it from a broadcast perspective and a studio perspective. Like, what is the data, or what is the enrichment that I give to the industry at which moment, and how can we build the consistency across that industry to support, let's say, global models like Google, but also to support local models, and to avoid piracy, or to, like, for example, the use case of visuals. Yes, of course, we can do a lot with AI on visuals, but then you have legal aspects there, you have a lot of other topics to solve. So that's, from that perspective, I think the business AI is still, I would say, the next wave for us to think about, and how you can build a more mature business model, not today, but also towards the future.
And just, Jackie, going back to what you were saying about the type of capabilities that are already there as well. For example, the languaging, like the localization, which I think was touched on a bit yesterday, but is that something where you see these tools being taken up already? Is there a huge disparity in the literacy between your partners as well about how to use those?
Yeah, and just to clarify, you mentioned that you kind of disagree with that, but it's not that, they're off the shelf, these particular examples, but the platform is in the same way as Android TV. It's kind of a similar sort of concept in that we deliver the platform and foundation and nuts and bolts, and then our partners build on top of that. So you can take what you like, you can build your own models from scratch, you can utilize some of the models that are already existing and build on those. So it's not that we've got to the end point before you're doing the groundwork. It's that if you are a partner who needs quickly to be able to translate something in real time for a particular service, you can take that. Similarly, if you're a partner that has AI expertise in-house and you want to start from the foundation up and you want to scope out your solution, again, the Vertex AI platform that enables that. And as I say, it's a very similar concept from the Android TV. So you make it what you want, you differentiate on top. So yeah, we've got examples of partners who have delivered across the whole gamut, essentially.
And in the, so I mean that's great, that's something that's available and it is actually used now in real time. I wonder from, let's say, pay TV perspective, Alex, whether do you already have AI capabilities very much integrated into that experience, whether it's the discoverability of content, the recommendations, where are you in that journey? Is it the beginning or you think you're ahead of the curve?
Yeah, sure. So 2 points there. So one of the big issues that probably all of you are aware is that AI works with huge amounts of data, and the thing is that in the markets what we cover, definitely the data that we have regarding that we can train the models on, like in Greek language or Bulgarian, etc., are definitely those data sets are way smaller. So that's why we need to have that initiative even further until like you do have also available models. On the other side, we always like compare things. Obviously, like we use Gemini things for certain things. Like when we're exploring, we use OpenAI for other things. Like we see because like everything is a process. Like there's no single winner so far, and then we match that with some things that we can build ourselves. But obviously, there's no way we can build everything on one way. And like what we cover at the moment, like what you said about the recommendations, definitely anti-piracy, the computer vision is something that we built upon by ourselves, and we're using it for like quite many years so far. That's not like a generative point. On the recommendation side, we still have like a third party that we're mapping against some of the recommenders that our own team is making. But then, as we saw, like what Google brought on the table with it, and what are some things that we played around on the hackathon with OpenAIs, like you can see that all of them have something to put on the table. There's no way we can combine all of that in a single solution, but there are things where we can see what we can like gain there. Because for example, Google, because like being Google, obviously all the metadata regarding the huge libraries of movie series and stuff, it's like massive on their way. But on the local content, it's something that we need to push that further because that metadata is not publicly available on one side, so we couldn't train their model on those data. We didn't have time to do so. So that's why we combine those things. But definitely what you said, the recommendation engine is probably one of the most important things, especially on-demand part. On the live TV, we also see that like there, we don't need, like, we thought that we would need like recommendation engines for the live TV stations that are recommending because we have like more than 270 live channels. The thing is that like we see that the basically personalization, allowing users to personalize that like whole experience by themselves is something that they want. Like they still want some of the things not to be fully always recommended. And I really like you to share as well your experiences regarding that as well, because you come from that industry as well. But that's something. So basically, combination of AI-driven on one side, and then allowing users to take the reins and do it on their side is something that we believe is going to be a sweet spot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely in your organisation then. How do you shape the customer proposition between that kind of the recommendation versus the customer having control?
That's actually hard to say, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure that AI will end the era of recommendation, will end the era of metadata and stuff like that. Yeah, we don't need it anymore. Yeah? Because with, for example, Streamlining, these multimodal models where regardless if it's text or video or image or audio or even code, you know what I mean, on the input and on the output side, you can do pretty much everything. You launched, I was pretty surprised that you launched, I believe it was last week, AI overview in the US. And we are working on another pilot project that is doing pretty much exactly this, based on our own content, where we use different multimodal models to, for example, transcribe everything, regardless what it is, the video, audio, text, etc., and chunk this content by embedding models into a vector database, to get not too technical, to be able to do semantic search and get synthesized answers based on this. Yeah? And this will completely change how services, the perception of services and what we today call recommendation, because you can talk to pretty much everything, even the service or the video or the content of the video, or the image. Yeah? So this will be as AI is, there is only chances and only risks. There is nothing in between. Yeah? So this is how we see AI, to be honest. Yeah? And the positive view is that there is, since 20 years, suddenly a chance to provide services that are even better than Google, for example, is providing today, from your own infrastructure. Yeah? So, of course, we have stuff in but this technology is already out there and it's liberated, and a lot of it is open source. Yeah? And because of this generative AI hype, suddenly you see, we were working with TensorFlow years back, we didn't see the use cases actually, where this could go. Yeah? today we have endless ideas and the potential is huge, but the risks also. Yeah? But especially as there could be a completely new distribution area, to be honest. Yeah? And you could provide quality in search that was actually impossible for media companies in the last decade. Yeah? So,
The speed as well.
the speed as well. Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's a good point about multimodal. The way that Google and others can identify different inputs, whether it be text or video, image or code, and you can actually intersect. So you can ask questions like, what frame in this video was this particular dialogue spoken, and it can tell you in real time the exact answer. Based on this whole LLM with regards to Gemini Pro and the 1 million context window, the amount of content you can bring in and read from is limitless in terms of the capabilities.
And I think we've over the last 30 years, as the impression is already 30 years in the industry, doing metadata started in the print business, of course, where we did a lot of automation, cost savings. I think what we see happening now, because of inconsistency with those IDs across the chain, you get a lot of hidden costs, and you can take those out, and as a result, you can start using, let's say, the output for machine learning, for all the other monetization strategies. But again, it's going back to the previous discussion about who does what, where, and when in the value chain, and then as a result of that, we start building business models.
And so where do you think that AI is the key in unlocking and solving current problems within?
Like I said, I think if you can build a mechanism where content identifier can travel across the value chain, you can tie all the different use cases and metadata and visuals and machine learning algorithms to it. If you don't do that, you end up in silos, slow work, very inefficient in terms of cost, very inefficient in terms of monetization.
And Jackie, from your perspective, since obviously AI, it's actually been there for a long time, for decades, but because of this, generative AI and what has come out on, let's say, just for the individual, it's very much the hot topic and on everybody's lips. So just in terms of your platform, if you think about it 2 years ago, for example, versus today, what has AI unlocked for your offering? Is it just the increased, let's say, ability to localize, discoverability and so on? Is there more than that?
So we've got our Google TV UI, which is our own UI that we manage and control. So in there we've got things like being able to rank rows of content based on users' affinity to those rows, or even the content within the row itself. We can move that content around depending on the user's interest, which is based on their usage of the Google TV platform, or their search, or their usage of YouTube. And then we can also give them a choice. So if they don't want to have those recommendations sent to them, they can turn that off, they can just access the content through the apps. So we definitely brought it in that respect. And then we're looking at things like accessibility for people with disabilities. So how can we make content more available to people who can't hear or can't see the content necessarily? So things through like closed captions, dubbing, subtitles, and even transferring the name of the word, but yeah, so anything that we can do to help with people who have disabilities is really moving in that direction too. And then advertising and monetization, coming up with better formats to enable further monetization through these types of platforms.
Fantastic. So we haven't got that much time left. First, I've got more questions, but I just want to check if anybody has any questions from the audience. No, okay, I'll go with my next one, which is, again, we're talking here about harnessing the power of AI. So I would love to hear from each of you, what do you think is the this let's say, single greatest thing that AI can harvest for this industry, and what will be needed to actually make that happen?
So obviously, yeah, we are definitely in the nascent years of like restructuring our whole like stack and everything in order to build what we're gonna, let's say, use towards our users on the one side, but on the other side, like what we're gonna offer to both our clients, partners, etc. And like what you mentioned, like the thing that like rang in my head, something that like we haven't mentioned is like what he said about importance of metadata and then mapping the data in order for you to have like huge relevance later on. And what Jackie said about formats, a great example as well that like we haven't mentioned, didn't touch upon. Like we have a partnership with an Israeli company called WSC, and what they do, they basically do that for you. So what's important? It's important for sports. As you're aware, sports like a football game is like it's 90 minutes plus or minus 10 minutes. And the whole idea there is like we do have the metadata for it, we have everything mapped, but we don't have all the forms that we need for everything and all the users and how they're actually using it. So an important point there is that like as we see with younger audiences, they're watching highlights. Like they watch games in like 5 minutes. They're not interested to watch the whole thing, etc. And the problem is that like we need immense manpower in order to edit that content. And what the WSC solution does is basically we ingest the whole streams in their system, and then they map every single second of the game, meaning that every goal that was scored, every red card, every fight they had in the game. And then after that, with a prompt, you can prompt a video of not more than 4 minutes with all the fights, all the goals and red cards in the game. And it's automated fully. And that is like the importance of that is also like we are gonna generate, we have the most valuable content, like we are all here like most of the publisher, etc. This is how we can even monetize it further, to what Jackie said, and how we can use that metadata towards like literally targeting people with the things that are more relevant for them. The greatest example, in my opinion, which is already here, is the NBA League Pass app. If you had a chance to use it, definitely use it, because like 95% of the content there is machine generated. Like every game, every set, like watch a game in like short video format with like shorts not lasting longer than 4 minutes. That is the way how like the younger audiences are watching it. They're watching every single game of LA Lakers, but they're not watching it live. They're watching it through those things. And this is a great example of like the problem is definitely like we can use cases. We cannot use WSC so far on any other content except sport, and except unfortunately 3 sports so far which are great. But this is the direction where we believe strongly that like obviously like the huge players in our market like Google, Amazon does something on that front as well, or something that like that machine generated content of our premium content is something where I think the industry is going to grow as well. Yeah, so that's it on our side.
For us as a company, it's first supporting the editorial and production processes. Yeah? You will see efficiency gains that were unknown until now, and you will see also a new era of creativity. Yeah? Second, it's next phase of digitalization in administrative area, which is pretty much driven by the hyperscalers. There's a product competitor out there that everybody is trying out, I would say. And third, it's accessibility, especially for us as public service company. Accessibility is a huge topic. Subtitling, for example, stuff like that, providing value to our customers. On top of that, there is a chance for completely new products and customer experiences that were not possible in the last years.
I would say it's what Les was mentioning, which is, you know, you can envisage a world where the experience for the user is tailored completely to them and everything is brought into them. They're no longer having to search for a particular content they're interested in. So if they're on watching a piece of content that is of interest to them, we start feeding in everything else related to that, whether it be, you know, latest scores, how that team is matching up with others, any supporting like social media information around that content, just to get that whole host of information direct to the user, so that they're able to get it and absorb themselves in that world rather than having to look elsewhere for it. And all of that would be enabled through, supporting the sort of the quality data that comes in, being able to dissect content and video, all of the AI elements contribute to that seamless experience of the user.
I'm very immersive and
Yeah.
personalised.
Yeah, so from our perspective, I think the key is what I learned, at least the time that I was in the media and entertainment industry, whether it was in the studio or in the broadcast or broadcast facilities industry, distribution companies. In the end, we saw a lot of, buzz, we saw a lot of talking about industry standards. It's not about industry standards, it's about adoption. And you need adoption first in order to be successful. Media Press has the largest adoption of content IDs across Europe. So from that perspective, what I really like when I joined the company from March is to see the amount of innovation that I see in our company is really impressive and helping the industry to support. I think that is at least my goal from my perspective to show to the industry, make use of that experience, 30 years of experience, rather than reinventing the wheel. And working together as an industry, I think, is the key message that I would like to bring. Enable each other by adopting, let's say, the methodology. We're going to launch it at IBC, so hopefully that is the better moment for us to talk more about it.
Look forward to it. Okay, well, thank you very much to the wonderful panelists. Really appreciate that discussion. And to you guys in the audience.